correct. It's right in the sense that yes, Narmer did do it, but Narmer was not one person. That was a group of people that were called the right, or the Noir Moors. Noir meaning black, and Moor meaning black. So really talking about black men. But phonetically, it would be spelled N-M-R. Just like sometimes you'll see in certain walls in Kemet, depending on what scholar you reading. You know what I mean?
That's an NTR.
Right, you'll see NTR. Or sometimes you might see a thing that looks like a K, and it'll be like KMR or TMR. That means the Moors. Like there's no wrong translation to that, unless you are systematically trying to hide who these people originally were. Because the thing with being a Moor is, what you're saying to a Caucasoid is, I'm your mother, your father, your God, your devil, your food, your earth, your sunlight, all in one. You dig? All at the same time. And because of that, there's nothing that you can tell me about myself. And see, people that weren't there in the beginning always want to act like they were. Because once you start stripping away all of the false names that they've given us, right? You start dealing with the real names. Then when you start stripping all the fake names that we gave them, you start to realize that they don't even have names. Like they're not even Caucasians. That's not even the word we could even call them, because the original Caucasians, if we were going to be historically accurate, were the people today we would call Hindus. Because if you're dealing with fact, allegorical fact, and you're dealing with systematic bringing things into existence, if the Caucasoid was grafted from us, right, his nose and stuff would be a lot thicker than it is now, right? If he was grafted from, let's say, Puerto Rican people or whatever, he would look a lot darker than he does now. If he was grafted from Mexican people, same thing. He would be shorter, he would be wider, he would be, you know, flatter. No, that's not who he came from. He was grafted from the original Hindus, who are the original Aryans, who are basically the Moors of the Hindu race. So really, he don't even have a name. He don't even have excuse me, I don't want to get into gender with him. It don't even have a name like that. It don't even have a time in which it could actively say, okay, I came on the planet here. He can only go by us for that, because we was the only ones here long enough to remember who the hell he was, how he got here. But we've been here so long, he done forgot. He done forgot totally. Well, not all of them, but most of them have forgotten totally how they came into its existence. So you have a lot of them now doing speculatory knowledge as to how they got here. They'll talk about the missing link, or they'll talk about Sasquatch, or they'll talk about, you know, the caveman, or the troglodyte, or the Cro-Magnon, and all of these terms, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, all of these terms have nothing to do with reality. And his reality basically came about because we, at a time in our history, realized that the time was coming in which we had to fall to rise again. Because remember, nothing perfect can exist forever. So if it's perfect, 10 chances to 1 it's on its way out. So at the time, we have basically 3 grand epochs in our history. We have what's called a stellar period. Then from a stellar period, we go into a lunar period. And from the lunar period, we go into a solar period. We're at the end of the solar period right now. So this is why everything is kind of up in the air, because nobody knows what's coming next. Well, those of us in the know, but, you know, the enemy is not going to build on that.
Talk to me about,
thank you.
Take some time out to talk to me about the Dogons. Who are they? Who are the Dogons?
Yeah.
Where did they come from?
Yeah, the Dogons are the keepers of the Syrian mysteries. They are the grand architects of stellar history, of intergalactic history. They are the keepers of our galactic history. Remember, when the Moors bounced, they bounced up to a lot of them moved to the river Niger. And if you know, the Dogon is right there at the tip of the river Niger. When the cracker came, and when I say crack, I'm not talking about saltines, I'm talking about Caucasian, I'm talking about the or the people today that we call Caucasoid people, who are only there to crack up our unity. That's why I used to call them crackers. They're there to just crack unity up and destroy it. Thank you, Queen. Thank you very much. Sure, if you have. Thank you. So, when the cracker came to allegedly his slave story, he found us on what? The River Niger, right? So that means the people that he was bagging up right there were not just some jungly Africans that were just out there. Thank you, Queen.
Right.
That was just out there willy-nilly, just not evolving or just you know, in the swinging from trees or something. That wasn't the case. We're talking about ancestral scientists who had over 3 millenniums worth of history under their belt and remembered it, to be able to recall it orally for people and to be able to disseminate it to the people. And then and what else was around the River Niger and the Dogon? We got Timbuktu, you know, one of the illest universities ever. Actually, it was an omniversity. It was just everything was there. You know what I mean? They was learning, kids was learning calculus in Timbuktu when they was like 2 years old. You know what I'm saying? And not this watered down, board of education mathematics. I'm talking about quantum physics. I'm talking about chaos theory. You know what I mean? Before there was even a Ingolstadt University in Bavaria. Before there was a Germany. So we're talking about a group of people who had this knowledge and then for whatever reason fell victim, and then once they fell victim, they were then taken across the waters allegedly into what today now we call the United States corporation, you know. Yet half of that story is right, but it's not correct. And when you're dealing with you're dealing with people that have a Janus perspective by nature. Now what do I mean when I say Janus? Janus in Greek mythology is the double-headed god who looked both ways. In comic books, he's called the Living Tribunal. There's a character called the Living Tribunal in comic books, and he's used as that. And you always, anytime you say, when you hear somebody saying, "Oh, he two-faced it," that's a Janus principle. You on both sides of the fence, and trying to take from both, and not trying to give respect to either one. Deal with this principle. There's no way for them to accurately depict themselves as what they really are. They can only do it masonically through codes and allegory. They can't just come right out and say, "Hey, well, you know, we know you guys created us."
If there's a certain amount of people that can believe in that or start to give homage to that, then those, in a sense, will become the inheritors of the true ancient wealth,
Right.
in a sense. So, you know.
Right. You can't take over. You can't go into a great palace and say, "Oh, this palace is so beautiful and great, man. I love it," and then covet the people that built it. Mm-hmm. This is their thing. They are upset at us because we allowed them to come into this creation, and really, we only created them to get the worst part of us out of ourselves. And when we did that, we created a physical, what's called an egregore, or a golem, or a homunculus, or a vesture, or a host, or a puppet that would then be there to act out all of the aggressions that we don't want to have within us.
All right. I want you to take this time right quick to really go in on the Egyptians. Take me to the museum. Where they got some of the information where our people can go and see images where they giving us the information. I seen the tape that you was doing where you even took me to the Moors, where they said it was the Moors. That was in the Pupus right there. So that was hot right there. Where could the people go and find this information where you talking about?
Well, one, my Queen and I did a tape called Decoding the Brooklyn Museum. Actually, it's a series of tapes. We did the Brooklyn Museum, the Native History Museum, the Whitney Museum, the MoMA Museum, and the Museum of Sex.
We did 7 of them.
And when you look at the tape, that's just for the tapes though. But you as a person, whether you see the tapes or not, you could go in there and just know that a lot of this stuff is basically there to to almost act as a battery for a long dead civilization.
And
So,
you know what I noticed? Excuse me, brother. You know what I noticed? Is that it does not even try to hide the information no more, because it feels that he already have done so much damage to the mind of our people that we don't even want to go out and do the research. And, you know, we would rather debate one another before we would go out and do the research. When the it is putting it right in our faces now.
But he's got to do that because
this is the time.
This is the time when it's coming in, when it's coming out, and also this is the time in which he is becoming face to face with his own mortality. All of the movies